We'll start this with a little thought experiment. I want you to imagine a guy. Stop! I didn't say to imagine him naked, alright? Come on. Imagine a guy with clothes on that turns every single thing you do into tutu wolves. And now, instead of imagining that it's a guy, I want you to imagine that it's a lady. And congratulations, you're a feminist now. Yeah, that's how that works. Bruh. Welcome to the Faldorn deck tech. Faldorn is a very special type of commander. It's kind of a secret what makes her so special. But let me tell you what she does, and then I'll go over that. She's 3 mana for a 3/3. She has this one part that will exile a card that we will almost never use, and this other part that the wording on it is specific, but basically it says, if you put a card into exile and then you use it, you get a wolf. So there's a couple of deck building archetypes that are kind of gaming the system and let you build a really, really good deck, have all your must-eat vegetable type cards in them, but still have tons of room for everything else. I would probably say that there are about 3 of these archetypes. Maybe there's more, but let a white boy break it down for you real quick. We've all seen these, right? This is a deck building template. They're pretty useful. They tell you that you need a certain number of ramp spells, card advantage, disruption, lands, and cards that are the game plan. There's one problem with this image though. Those numbers add up to 108. This is basically telling you that you need 8 cards that are both the game plan and one of the other categories. It's a really neat little hint that this template squeezes into the design. It's letting you know that you will have to build with at least some synergy. But what if you can do better than that? If your commander is Niv Mizzet Perun or the Locust God, both cards that care about when you draw cards, that means since drawing cards can be the game plan, you can have 30 card draw cards now. We're in Draw Tribal. Now, one of our essential categories, the draw category, is our entire cards that do the game plan category instead. That basically erases one of those requirements for us. If you have a landfall deck, pick any landfall commander, doesn't matter which one. It's a little bit left of field, but I'm going to go with not a landfall commander, Genku Future Shaper, because that's the commander of my landfall deck. Weird, I know, I will make that video eventually, but that deck has 25 pieces of ramp. The Regalia, I'm looking at you, that card is so good, but it has 34 cards that will trigger landfall outside of being played as a land for turn. Oh, and that's not including the 43 lands in the deck that will just trigger landfall when you play them as a land for turn. The deck gets to be ramp tribal. It's super crazy though, because that means that the category of cards that are the game plan in landfall decks gets to be absolutely huge. Now you could also be in removal tribal. You could do this by playing Tergrid and having 30 cards that make people sack and discard.
Fuck this, get it out of my sight, I hate this.
You should not do this. You can still play removal tribal though. I actually do myself in my Vrondis deck. He has an enrage trigger, which means he cares about when he gets dealt damage. So I have 20 cards that can deal him damage. And a lot of those can also be used as removal. But rolling dice also deals him damage, so I have 11 dice rolling cards. And wouldn't you know it, that's 31 cards. Now with all that, I have 25 pieces of removal with massive overlap between those and the 31 game plan cards. And those are some really healthy numbers. Not as clean as the other examples, but it gets the job done. So where does Faldorn land? Yes, you could say she's actually draw tribal, only it's the red kind of draw. If she were blue, it would say if you cast a spell or play a land after drawing it, i.e. from your hand, make a 1/1 bird. But that would be insane. So they didn't write that. They wrote the extremely reasonable when you do an exile thing, make a fucking wolf instead. And spoiler alert, it's still insane. But actually, if the spell you cast from exile ramps you, she still makes you a wolf. So if she cares about ramp spells, does that make her a ramp tribal commander? And the same is true for removal. So is she removal tribal? No, because I have tricked you, for there is a 4th type of really powerful deck building archetype, and Faldorn is also it. This is secretly a spell slinger deck that also for some reason cares about if you play lands and has like no non-creature spell stipulation or anything. Alright, so that's enough mad yapping and flapping my shit, chewing that thang and spitting on it. Yeah, that is true, Lucas. And no one says chicken jockey anymore either. Sorry, bud. Now, let me show you some cards. I want you to see these cards. Look at these cards, man. Look at these fucking cards. Like Jessica's will. It does two things. Ramp, mana equal to the most cards in an opponent's hand, and exile. 3 cards, play them this turn. Wow, those are both things that we want to do. Gee whiz. Let me just run out and grab a copy of that. Oh wait, it's like $50.
We are so excited to announce that we are raising the prices on everything.
But guys, it's not that good. Sometimes it's like exile some cards, add 2 mana, $50 for that? I would not pay that much for this card. It just came with the precon. Oh, and this used to be a precon, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Bro, what does that mean, Lucas? You can't just put in random pieces of media and expect people to get the meme, Lucas. Was that? Oh, God. Oh, I know what that was. God damn it, Lucas. Alright, this is 25 cents. It's Grenzo. All these cards, they're going to put some stuff into exile for us to use, you know, later or whatever. He says when you hit someone with a creature, you either goad one of their things or exile a card from their library. And that's good. We can use our wolves to get us more wolves. It's good. Then there's Inti. He's got this attack, discard, 1/1 counter thing, and when you discard, you do an exile thing from your library. Containment Construct works on discards too. When you discard a card, put it into exile, you can use it now. That makes Faldorn's discard a card, exile a card, you can use it now ability actually really good, since it gives us access to 2 cards in exile instead of 1. And when these cards are out, that's kind of the only time we're going to use this ability. Party Thrasher gives non-creature spells in exile Convoke, which is great when we have a bunch of wolves, and he has this thing that I always forget to do, but it gives you access to more cards in exile. Opera Love Song exiles 2 cards, and Glimpse the Impossible and Ignite the Future exile 3. The Love Song can also be used as a combat trick, which I really like. Glimpse the Impossible says if you don't use your cards from exile, you turn them into Eldrazi Spawns, which is ramp, and Ignite the Future has a flashback cost. And if you pay it, you get to play those cards without paying their mana cost, which can be amazing. Retrieve Prey is our first adventure. It says take a creature from your graveyard, put it into exile, you can cast it again now. So that's nice. And then you put this card into exile and you can use the other half later. The other half being Tinkali Hunter, which says once each turn you may pay 0 rather than pay for a creature you cast from exile. And on top of that, it's just a 7/7 with trample, which is really good. Now, in case you're wondering, you can do all of that when you put this card into exile with some other effect, like you Opera Love Song it into exile. Yes, adventures do work from exile. You can use both halves. But does Overload work? Yes, you can pay alternative costs on stuff like that. Do MDFCs work? Yes, if the card says play, you can use both sides, and only one of them, Grenzo Havoc Razor, says cast and not play. Does Foretell work? No.
Fuck. Shit.
No, Foretell does not work. Also, Suspend doesn't work. I'll go over these cards individually later, but you can't put these cards into exile using those abilities from exile. Has to be from your hand. Doesn't mean you can't use them, and they are still good cards. I just thought I would mention that. Anyway, this is Sword of Forge and Frontier. It is so good. You want me to break it down for you? You want a white boy to break down Sword of Forge and Frontier for you? Alright, it gives pro red and green, and if you hit someone with it, you exile 2 cards, you can play them now, and you can play an extra land for turn. If you exile 2 lands off of this, you can just play both of them, and that will get you 2 wolves since they both enter from exile. There's no missing with this thing. Lelia exiles when she attacks, and with every instance of you exiling something, she gets 1 bigger, which means, if you didn't know this, when you cascade, for each card you see, it counts as a new instance of exiling something, and she gets 1 bigger. So if you cascade and you see 15 cards, she gets 15 bigger, which is crazy. Not that likely to happen, but it's possible. These next cards all do something similar to each other. Shardfoyer, Headliner Scarlet, and this cat called Kate from Final Fantasy, which is a Moogle. What the f is a Moogle? Also, don't answer that, that's rhetorical. Anyway, they're all like, once per turn, you exile a card, you can use it that turn. And then the foyer...
Well, ooh la dee da, Mr. Frenchman.
The other half of it's like 6 mana, once per turn, you may pay 0 for a spell from exile. And unlike Tinkali Hunter that specifies creature spell, this just says spell, which is an important distinction. It feels really good to just wait until you exile a spell that costs 6 or more, and then unlock this door and use it to pay 0 for that spell. Headliner Scarlet has this thing, so if you draw her late, she ETBs and someone can't block this turn, which is a really good way to kill someone. And in the Moogle, you get a free Scry before the exile, and then you give something plus X, where X is the exiled card's mana value, which can be really nice to just give to a random wolf. Invasion of Coldheim is a battle, with ETB, exile all cards in your hand, then draw that many cards. Until the end of your next turn, so that's kind of 2 turns to do this, you may play the cards exiled this way. That's a lot of card advantage. Then, if you hit this thing with 2 wolves, because it's got 4 like loyalty, or I forget what this is called, defense or something. If you hit it for 4, the way battles work, you actually exile it, then cast the back half transformed, which is a cast from exile trigger. And the backside is good too. I don't know. I kind of don't even know what it does. I mostly care about the front side, but it's really good. Rose is a first striking robot, and she says after combat, for each person you attacked, you make a junk token. And junks say when you sack them, exile a card, and she says when you sack a junk, you get 1 red. And that's ramp. And exile based card advantage on 1 card, which we love. This is a flying, first striking dinosaur dragon, and it's complicated, but you exile cards and you can make treasures and 3/1 dinosaur tokens. So this does everything. Escape to the Wilds is 5 mana, exile 5 cards, and you get to use them not just until the end of this turn, but until the end of your next turn. And you get to play an extra land this turn. So if you do exile 3 lands off this, you do actually get to use them all. Inspired Tinkering, 5 mana, 3 cards, use them this turn, but you get 3 treasures as well. And Plug and Nasari does this complicated exile non-lands from everyone's decks. You get to cast 2 of them for free, which is really nice. And then Triple Triad, 6 mana enchantment, you play a little gambling game. This was in my gambling deck video. That was very fun to make. And this thing, at its absolute best, it could be cast 4 spells from exile for free. And at its worst, it's like play 1 land from exile. But that's gambling. The next card is not gambling, and it is cast 4 spells from exile for free. It's Itali. In the last game I cast Itali, I exiled a stolen identity off an opponent's library, which I used to make a copy of Itali. And then I hit someone. Because this card has Cypher, you guessed it, that's another copy of Itali. So I got 12 spells for free. And yeah, in that single turn, I made like 15 wolves. And man, you should have seen me when I made all those wolves.
I'm the best.
Yeah. And they had haste and everything. And then I lost that game because there was a blind obedience on board. F your blind obedience, Matt. God damn it. Anyway, that's a lot of cards that put a lot of other cards into exile. This deck gets to run 43 cards that will give us some kind of access to cards in exile. And yeah, that's a few more than 30. And there's a significant portion of those cards that overlap with other categories, like the 29 ramp cards that we have to fix this problem that I haven't mentioned yet, where we exile a really expensive card like Itali before we have the mana to cast it. And I guess since I'm talking about the stats, I'll just briefly mention we also get 19 pieces of removal, we're at 36 lands, and we're running 12 other cards that care about casting from exile in some way, which can amplify what we're already doing by a lot. So, ramp. Let me sing you the songs of all these fucking green ramp spells, man. Ramp spells that help us cast big spells. This is where you get to see the perfect melding of green ramp and red cast stuff from exile cards. First example, I mentioned it before. Yes, Venture Forth. You can see how reading the card totally explains this card, right? Except that it doesn't, because it doesn't have the suspend reminder text on it. Suspend, again, doesn't work from exile, and that's because the reminder text says you have to do it from your hand, specifically, which would make it so useful if Venture Forth had the reminder text on it. But regardless, what's the rest of the text on it? Because there's a lot. So let a white boy break it down for you real quick. Okay, so you suspend it on turn 2. You cast Faldorn on turn 3, and on turn 5 you cast this for free from exile, so that's 1 wolf. Then you exile cards from your library until you hit a land. Put it on the battlefield untapped, and then resuspend this spell. And because the land entered from exile, that's a second wolf, and 1 free untapped land on turn 5. That's a nice turn 5. But if you exile this spell from some other effect and you can't suspend it, you cast it from exile and it gets an untapped land, and that land enters from exile, so it's always 2 wolves and 1 untapped land. And then if the game goes another 3 turns, it happens again. So I love this spell. We have some turn 1 ramp, wild growth, carpet of flowers, European swallow, or African swallow, take your pick. Isn't that a funny reskin? Turn 2 ramp, we got Farseek, Nature's Law, Sakura Tribe Elder, or if you're a fan of comedy, you might want to cast We Want a Shrubbery, another funny reskin. Oh my word, how delightful is that? Gala Greeters can make treasures when we get wolves, as well as do some other stuff that probably doesn't matter that much, and Goblin and Archomancer makes all our spells cost 1 less, which is fantastic. We're trying to mostly avoid ramping on 3 since we have a 3 mana commander, but we do have a couple. Patchwork Banner is a mana rock that can make our wolves 3/3s, which can be a really big deal. And then this giant, the adventure half of this is put a basic land onto the battlefield, untapped though, so it's slightly better than it seems. And then this half is a giant, so that's just good. Then this elf, this is one of the silliest interactions that the deck has. The elf side is a mana dork. The sorcery side is pay 1 green, get 1 mana of any color, which is actually useful sometimes if I haven't left up the right lands, which I definitely do. And that's it. If you cast this from exile, it's 1 mana, you get 1 mana back, and you get a wolf, which is so stupid, and I fucking love doing that. Okay, moving on. I know you guys love ramping and exile-based card advantage, and you know what else you guys will definitely love? The Spider-Man set.
What is this? What is this? What the fuck is this? I'm gay in World of Warcraft.
Kill Clancy clearly took it a step further and put his own twist on it.
Wow, what an oddly specific thing to say. Why would Darcy say this? Anyway, this card does the, whatever, fuck Spider-Man. Invasion of Zendikar, another battle. We talked about battles. It's 4 mana, get 2 lands, and then the backside is a mana dork too. Omen Path Journey, yuck. Loot, ugh. Good card though. You can exile 5 lands from your deck, and then once per turn, you get 1 of them on the battlefield from exile. Next is Savvy Trader, has an ETB, it's good, but what I care about most is spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 1 less to cast, and that's a big deal. And then there's Bigger on the inside. This makes a land tap for 2, and then when you cast your next spell, that spell has Cascade, which is cast from exile. And it's kind of funny having this next card in here since we have Cascade, but it's Meltdown. It's an X spell, and it says destroy each artifact with mana value X or less. And if you know anything about X spells, if you Cascade into them, the X is always 0. But oh no, won't that mean we destroy no artifacts? No, because there will be 50, 100, and 1,000, a shitload of treasure tokens, and their mana value is 0. And then also, because it's cast from exile, you get a wolf, wouldn't you know it? And yeah, you like that, don't you? You would like to get a wolf. You would, I know you. Collective Resistance and Untimely Malfunction are both either removal or protection. Embreath, Shieldbreaker, and Stormkeld Vanguard are both removal adventure spells and then creatures that you can cast from exile later. Green Slime, another complicated card, but okay, I'm a white boy, I'll break it down for you. ETB, counter a triggered or activated ability of an artifact or enchantment. Then, if it's countered that way, destroy the artifact or enchantment. And it has Flash, and it has Foretell. So if you exile this to something else, you can't foretell it, and the card's probably a bust for you, but if this ends up in your hand, it's a great card, and I do love playing it. Breakdown destroys something, makes you a junk. Chaos Warp is Chaos Warp, and then Guthrie writes history is not Chaos Warp. It says, for each player, including yourself, you choose a non-enchantment of theirs. For ourselves, we're going to choose a wolf. Everyone shuffles those things away, then exiles cards till they get a spell, and then gets to cast the exiled spell without paying its mana cost. And that is casting from exile. So we get a brand new wolf. We trade a wolf for one wolf and a free spell, which I did the math. That's quite good. And oh look, what did we exile? It's a Farseek. Alright, free land, I guess. We'll get it land. We'll get one land. Next is Impending Flux. It has Foretell again, so it's kind of not that good when you exile it, but it's an asymmetrical board wipe. It will deal some damage to all our opponent's creatures and none to ours. Same as Mizium Mortars, which if you overload, it's 4 damage to all our opponent's creatures and not ours. Delay Blast Fireball has Foretell, and it says if this spell was cast from exile, it deals 5 damage to each opponent and each creature they control, so we actually don't want to foretell this since that is more expensive. And oh gee whiz, I bet our opponents think we're out of asymmetrical board wipes at this point, huh? Yeah, this is another board wipe.
Get out, you! Get out of my house!
Get out! Get out of my house! Get out of my house!
Get out now!
Huge spell. Call forth the Tempest, 2 free Cascades, which will be 2 free Wolves, and then a bunch of damage to our opponent's creatures, and not ours. Some of you might have noticed for every wolf token I've shown you, well, not me, that's the editor Lucas showing the wolf tokens. Good job, Lucas. You definitely exist, man. For every wolf Lucas shows you, it's been a different artwork. And this is actually it. This is the last artwork. There's 14 green 2/2 wolves, but we actually did this in our last video. We showed you all 52 different Soul Ring arts. Yes, there are 52 of them. Actually, 54 now with Lorwyn, but it was 51. And then when Lucas was editing that video, they announced a secret layer with this Soul Ring in it, and he had to scramble to squeeze it into the video because it wasn't in the script. And then 4 days after that video was published, they cancelled that secret layer. And now it seems like that Soul Ring maybe won't ever get printed, but it's stuck in that video for forever for the rest of time, which I hate. Anyway, I just had to vent about that because it's pissing me off. Next up, there's a bunch of lands. I'm just going to skip them. Lands don't have a lot to do with exile. Some of them do, but it's pretty limited. So that's the lands. Oh, but obligatory, I do have Temple of the False God. Temple of the False God. If you desperately want to look at what the lands are in the deck, the link to the full deck list is in the description. Next, we got some cards that also care about exile, like Passionate Archaeologist, which says when you cast a spell from exile, you deal damage equal to that spell's mana value to each opponent. No, it says to an opponent. My bad, my mistake. Keeper of Secrets is the same thing, except it's a sexy demon, which is an interesting art direction to take. These cards are kind of like redundancy for Faldorn. It's nice to have them if she's been removed a lot. Like Araxa, almost the same. Doesn't care about lands though, and it, or she, makes 2/2 aliens instead of wolves. And there's only one artwork for these, not 14, so Lucas, you don't have to do heaps of work on this one. Wild Magic Sorcerer gives, are you okay, Lucas? Gives our first spell we cast from Cascade, gives our first spell we cast from Exile Cascade for the turn. And now Fashionee copies spells we cast from Exile, and it's also got these huge demon titties, which is an interesting art direction to take. And then this dinosaur is big. He gets bigger. You cast from exile, free 3 damage somewhere, and he gets a 1/1. And when he dies, he deals his power to each opponent, which can be fatal. Quick break in the action to say that if you're enjoying the video, don't do any of the engagement. Don't do engagement. Send this to one of your gay friends. If your friend sent you this, it's because they think you're gay. And you know what? They're not being homophobic about it. They love you because you're gay. And I love you because you're gay. And you love me because you're gay. And the thing is getting kind of serious between us. And I think it's about time you told your parents about us and we kind of put a label on this, don't you? These next cards, they don't have like tons of synergy. They're just generally good. Enduring Courage gives your wolves 2-0 and haste when they enter. Sarith gives untap stuff hexproof and tap stuff death touch. So that means you can give the wolves death touch and that's really good. And Frenzied Saddlebrute gives everyone's shit haste as long as it's not attacking you, which I love this card. You guys should pause the video and read it. It's so sick. The last card is Ruxa Patient Professor and ooh, that's a lot of text. Somebody better break this one down. Oh, and I bet you thought it was going to be a white boy. But no. We're all feminists here. I'm going to get a white girl to break it down for you. Break it down, white girl. Alright, it's rolling. Okay, so explain the card.
Okay, so it has an ETB and we don't really care about that part, right?
Yeah, we don't care about that part.
And it says creatures you control with no abilities get +1/+1, and that means the wolves get +1/+1, right?
Yeah, the wolves basically get +1/+1.
Okay, and then it says for each creature you control with no abilities, you may have that creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. And that's like the wolves just deal damage to players and it doesn't matter if they're blocked?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, that was good.
It was good?
Yeah, nice. And like, tell them you're not being forced to say this, you know.
Can I go play Stardew now?
Alright. Yeah, she's gonna go play Stardew. I just felt that was necessary because sometimes you have to limit how much a white boy gets to break it down, you know? They can be kind of weird. Anyway, shout out to anyone who copped my merch. I don't know how you did that since I didn't actually make any of the merch. And I don't have a website or anything. How did you do that? And don't forget to unsubscribe from this channel. This channel is a plague upon the earth. I have links down below where you can unfollow me across a whole range of different platforms, most of which I will try to scam you on. And if you pledge your money to me on Patreon, I will kill you. I will find you and kill you. So that's nice. But this is Rubbed Genie's work. He makes the backgrounds to all of these videos and you should follow him for real. The link is in the description. Look at it, it's sick, man. And I am once again suggesting that if you watched this whole video, you are my boyfriend now.